of 2005 is with me, as is DaSweatyBanana, our Discord trading champion. And we are here to guide you, the casual FIFA player, through the wonderful yet sometimes soul-destroying world of FIFA Ultimate Team. Now on our 5th season, welcome to this week's Casual FUT podcast. We're back again, gents.
We're back. Season number 5.
Season number 5. It's as if season number 4 didn't end like a week ago. It's like we've never been away.
But no, I didn't realise we were on season 5. In all honesty, even in the sort of pre-chat, I thought it was season 4 would only been running 2 years. But the fact that we've been running 3-4 years now, it's nice. Nice feeling.
I think as I explained at the beginning of the last year or last season, it's technically season 5. It's only season 5 because the pilots, a couple of pilots we did account as it's basically 4 seasons. It's 4 proper seasons, but 5 if you count the pilots that we did. Which, you know, as we say every single year, do not go back to the beginning of the feed and listen to them. They are not good. I mean, if you think the production quality is poor now, I mean, wow. Welcome along, guys. Really happy to be back for FIFA 23, and this is our Hello to FIFA 23 podcast. We've kind of held off talking about it for as long as we possibly can. You know, whether that says something about the hype we have for the new release, I'll let you decide. But yeah, so just wanted to go through a few things in terms of the pod itself, because we're making a few changes. So what I must say is, if you're watching on YouTube, well done, welcome. We are now going to be putting the pod on YouTube. Yes, big thumbs up from Banana there. You can see us in all of our glory, or not so much glory, again, depending on where you stand on the fence. We're all married men though, right?
Yep.
Yeah, we're all married men, so it's fine. We're off the market now. We don't care if you like the look of us or not. We don't have to make an effort anymore. Bully, the most recently married man, has got a completely straight face. Evidently, he still has to make an effort.
I don't feel I've gelled my hair since the wedding day.
Since the wedding.
or my honeymoon.
You're still on that working from home vibe, mate. That's what that is.
Yeah, no, that's quite nice. I'm saving a lot of money in hair products.
Barely got any to do. Anyway, we're not going to get into hair products. So yeah, we're gonna be trying to. All the podcasts is going to be going on YouTube now. So the link will be in the Discord. It will be on the podcast Twitter feed when it goes live. Obviously, the podcast is still going to be available in the normal places for audio only, but it's there. And obviously, we want to really try and push the YouTube channel with certain recent announcements of changes to the way that you can play FUT Champs this year. Me and Bully might be doing quite a bit of content cooperatively. It's a little spoiler alert. And so yeah, we thought the decision was right to actually make use of the YouTube channel that I set up about 3 years ago. So yeah, that's gonna be good. We've obviously got Banana with us. He's going to be involved, as he was towards the end of last season, as much as you can. Trading, guys, next week is going to be the one for you. Next week is going to be an entire trading clinic with the DaSweatyBanana. We are going to the banana grove. We're going to have palm trees. I'm gonna be wearing my shirt. I'm gonna be wearing my Hawaiian shirt next week, because we are going to the banana grove. We're going to be, get some pina coladas on and everything. Like an absolute beaut. And he's going to tell us exactly how we make an absolute shed of coins. Not just, particularly in the early parts of FIFA 23, because a lot of changes as well. So let's jump straight into those changes, particularly in terms. We're going to briefly touch on gameplay, and we're going to go into going to basically go through the deep dive in quite some detail. But what I want to really kind of get your guys' opinion on is about over the release, because we've got there's the 10 hours EA Play trial, but that's not being released any earlier than the Ultimate Edition this year. What impact, first and foremost, for you, Banana, what impact do you think this is going to have in early day trading? Because essentially, is that going to close everything up? What difference do you think it's going to make?
I mean, let's deep dive next week, but right now, if everybody's getting on at the same time, there's still some doubts about the web app timing as well. But if everybody is getting on the same time, that's a massive inflow of packs opening at the same time. There's going to be a lot of deals you can make early on. And then while people are still figuring out this whole chemistry system, buying up players that you can use for the first couple of SBCs coming, that will be, the most important, I think, coin-wise. And then also for the kind of early days where you're doing like the advanced SBCs and usually need 3 British or English bronze players to get on loyalty to make an SBC or something. That won't be in place anymore. There's no more loyalty, so it's going to be interesting start to FIFA 23.
Exactly. But what do you think of the change in terms of, you know, the no additional release, no benefit essentially to having FIFA, the EA Play? Is it EA Play? It used to be EA Play now, isn't it? Formerly EA Access.
Yeah, I don't actually mind it too much. I always thought I normally use the 10 hours on the weekend before, and I feel like I'm doing not a lot for the next week, or you're so restricted unless you load a lot of FIFA points up. You're really restricted into what you can do because those 10 hours can only get you so far, yield you a certain amount of coins anyway. So yeah, I think I'm going to quite like the change. Not sure, we'll see.
Yeah, I think, to be fair, I think I quite agree with that. I mean, again, the last couple of years, as I've well documented, I haven't been able to play as much, and particularly with EA Access, I think last year, I didn't even get over 4 hours, although it was poorly timed with like a holiday or something like that. I can't exactly remember how the timing fell. Again, I was also a new job and things like that, so it didn't really work out for me that well. But yeah, like I said, I think I'm quite similar to you. What it did make me feel, because again, I haven't pre-ordered yet. I need to do it, make sure I do it before the additional 10% goes. But it does make me question: do I actually need to do the ultimate version?
You need to.
Yeah.
I love that, but Bully's hesitancy and Banana. Yeah, no, you need to.
There's not a lot of difference between them, I don't think. I'm sure it's only about £15, and for that £15, you just get so much more, it seems, in terms of FIFA points, and then the extra packs.
Just the days you get ahead, right? Everything is going up in price always, and so those early days are massive. And if you're going to put on FIFA points, do it like minute 1, open the packs, sort through them, see what's selling, what's not, and then don't spend, just trade from there. I think we'll get some welcome backpacks and some of this preseason stuff, so that should be enough for everybody. But if you want, chug a little bit in at the beginning. The first 100k or 200k is the hardest. So if you're a hardworking guy, don't have much time to trade silvers and bronzes for 24 hours a day, then just throw in a little bit of FIFA points. But if you do it early, and then don't do it the rest of the year.
This is the only time that Banana will allow it.
Yes.
The only time. Okay, cool. So release training, we'll have that deep dive next week. So let's have a little bit of chat about the gameplay. Now, obviously, this is heavily caveated because obviously we don't know. Let's be honest, the guys that played the beta it's been very kind of a lukewarm reception. Although I did hear through the grapevine that apparently there was an update in the middle of it that made it a little better. But I think there's always, gameplay experience until even like when the demo comes out and everything like that, okay, fine, if you can put the hours and you learn like the new free kick system or whatever, fine, it might give you a little bit of a leg up in the early days, but you really can only tell the gameplay of the new game when it comes out. So that's we're going to touch a little bit on gameplay, but just obviously because we are previewing. So let me, for the benefit of the this is brilliant. So for the benefit of the our YouTube audience, I'm now going to get up the pitch notes from the on my screen. So
and I'm going to try to hold back so we don't get banned day one from the new YouTube channel, because it might turn into a rant. But
yeah,
let's check it out.
This is basically most of my hosting on the podcast these days is just making sure that Banana doesn't get us cancelled too early. So let's start relatively soon. So in that vein, Hypermotion 2 is apparently more advanced, even more animations, and
move on.
Yeah, move on.
We're getting 6,000 animations. It's great. It's perfect.
Do you know
it's not going to slow the game down. It's going to be awesome.
Do you know what? I was genuinely going to give you 30 seconds on that Banana, but Bully just cut me off, so we're going to move on. So obviously we've got advanced match capture. I mentions obviously some kind of things like shorter games and Sheldon Rogers, some guys of the content creators that have helped them to do it, etc. Machine learning, which just sounds like dynamic difficulty adjustment all over again, so we're going to move on. So women's football updates. I know obviously that's not going to mean a lot to a lot of people, but I must admit I actually really like this. I like the fact that they are kind of making the women's football is one of the biggest growing sports in the world. Obviously England's women won the World Cup, not the World Cup, the Euros in the summer, and I think making it a very kind of specific game mode is actually. I think it's actually a really good thing in terms of the animation, making it actually, feel a lot more like women's football than, just FIFA, but the guys on the pitch are women, not men. I don't know if either of you got any thoughts on that. Yeah,
it's cool. I mean, women's football is really progressing, and maybe they should try to integrate it somehow in FUT, but to really make people play it, right? But I don't know how they would do that, but yeah, that would make more people try it.
I had that thought, Banana, and the only way I could think you could do it is that you'd essentially have to have the female players on the same kind of, obviously on their own scale, but on essentially mapped to like the sort of in terms of ratings, like say for example, you would have. It's Sam Kerr, isn't it? The what do you call it? The cover star. There we go. You'd have her kind of, you'd have to have her as like an 86, 87 rated. Do you see what I mean? It would have to. Okay, fine. Those stats wouldn't kind of compare, but do you know what I mean? You sort of you work out the stats and then exponentially put them up to match the male stats, and then all of a sudden you can have almost that mixed ultimate team. I'm not against that, if I'm being honest, but
I think a good way to do it could be to actually have them in packs, but then have them for a separate mode or objective, like they had the Silver Lounge, where you have to play silver players. Then you can have like a female section where you only play female players.
That's nice.
That could be an idea.
That's not too shabby at all. I like that, Banana. I like that.
I think it might even work better as a spin-off World Cup mode or something like that. So if you do have a women's national tournament, you introduce it like that, because otherwise you will start getting women's FUT cards into the ecosystem of the FUT game. I'm not sure that's going to go down well with quite
Imagine the trading opportunities if they had like a women's weekend league and you knew that, and you would buy all the good women players.
Yeah, I love that, but literally trading mode is always on.
I'm not sure they should be part of the same ecosystem. So I would completely separate them. But also, I don't know. I don't really see people asking for it either. So that's something that probably won't happen.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's something that like I said, it's one of these things. It's a good move. It's a good move, and it's going in the right direction, as Banana says. So we've got technical dribbling. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I thought the dribbling system had been was supposedly revolutionised in FIFA 22. the fact that we're getting a whole new dribbling system with active touch and things like that. I don't know.
You could go back over the last 10 releases and you could probably pick out words from what they've done to dribbling and just put them in here. Like it's pretty much a copy and paste exercise.
That is true, and I think and I think with this again, this is one of those things that okay, fine, great, you've done this and whatever, but it just is how it fits in with everything, isn't it? Like you say, you can say that you've changed dribbling, but it's kind of do you know what I mean? There's so many other factors that come into play in terms of how dribbling feels, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I agree.
It's just a bullshit bingo, I think, of words.
Oh, there it is.
Sorry. Can you say that word? Okay.
Right. Who had 10 minutes? Who had 10 minutes?
But I just looked it up in the Discord and I post the same joke every year. It's like last year, it's like flux capacitor, hyperunification, matrix, agile, contextual throw-ins. This is going to revolutionize the game. That's what I wrote last year. And it's the same every year. There's a new buzzword.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think, again, like machine learning, jockeying, acceleration, better. Again, as you can see, like the thing is, the deeper you go into this, the more of that BS really kind of starts to put it out. Power shots. Okay, like we didn't already have power shots. Redesigning set pieces. Again, I must admit, like, I do feel that free kicks, they changed free kicks to a really simplified system, and then, or they tried to simplify, they tried to change free kicks, I don't know, was it 3-4 years ago, maybe 5 years, and it seems to, with every release, they seem to be bringing free kicks close to like the old, like the games of the mid-noughties, where, do you know what I mean, where it was fascinating because you had a ball icon and you could put, right, I want to hit the ball there, and that's then gonna determine how much I curl the ball and things like that, which I think is a lot better way of doing free kicks. But I still don't think, well, again, obviously they don't feel that they're getting it right because this is the second year in a row that they've changed it again.
To be honest, I can't really speak about free kicks much because my objectives for free kicks is still at 0 out of 25 for this year. I think it only reached 5 last year. I always take a free kick short. That's always what I would have done in the pro days. I would have never sort of risked all of this. I feel like it's so easy to move your keeper and block the danger or put a player there. And I think free kicks are so hard to score unless I only seem to sort of, I don't know, concede free kicks when I just can't be asked to move my keeper and someone's just popped one in. Never in FUT champs.
The other one is, of course, if they do a ridiculous, like Roberto Carlos outside of the foot bend that starts, I don't know, half a mile outside the near post, and then somehow goes in the top bin. Do you know what I mean? That's those things. Well, you're not going to stop that anyway. Like, you could put the man there and he wouldn't stop that. So we've officially got the draft excluder as well, which is I must admit, I quite enjoy the fact that the draft excluder is in there. Bully smiling because one of his wedding photos, we had him as a draft excluder, which, one day may get shared. And again, penalties are penalties, like, left, right, up, left, right, straight.
What are they actually saying about penalties?
So okay, so basically, all right, okay, oh, you want it? Well, okay, fine, we'll do penalties. So essentially, you lose it, you aim your shot, set your aim, so we set your aim to within the net about 3 feet from the post, and your aim is fixed.
Yeah, it's a kind of there's an animation around the ball that gets bigger and smaller, like a heart pumping, and if you hit the shot at the exact right time, then it's more precise and harder. And I think they need to adjust this because some of the pros, I know they've already found out how to score 100% of their free kick of their penalties. So I think it's going to need an adjustment. You basically can't miss if you hit it a special way.
Okay. Yeah, but then does that not mean, I mean, Bully, from your ex-pro days, does that not mean that there's skill gap there?
In a way, but it depends how easy it is, how big the risk versus reward is of stopping it at that precise moment.
The real question is that how does, like, I don't know, say I was going to say Harry Maguire, but after seeing his penalties in the Euros, he's actually a pretty damn good penalty taker. But do you know what I mean? Like, how does David De Gea's penalty, you know, how does it work for him? Because it's all very well doing it with an expert penalty taker on a one-off occasion, but let's be honest, 9 times out of 10 when we're taking penalties is in a shootout, in a 0-0 draw, yeah, or, you know, in you know, when you've at the end of a champs game or something like that. So, you know, okay, fine. If you can do it with the attackers and pretty much all the midfielders, and that's pretty much perfect, that's fine. If it's then ridiculously hard for somebody, you know, for a left back or for a goalkeeper, then okay, fine. Then that sort of makes sense. Anybody?
Yeah, we'll have to see. I haven't tried it. As you know, I haven't played the beta. I've watched some gameplay and then got some input from a couple of guys who play the game a lot. And one of their inputs was definitely they need to switch up the penalty system.
Yeah. So I was just intrigued of what kind of percentages should we be relating to in terms of real life. Stat from 2009. So from 100,000 penalties, they worked out you score 75% of them. So I don't think it should be as simple as left, centre, right, because actually that gives you that's just 66%, isn't it? So there needs to be some other element to make it easier for the penalty shooter.
What you really need to find out is what XG is given to a penalty.
Oh yeah, but that's going to be different depending on the player and the different level.
XG is not determined by the player; it's determined by where the shot is taken from. No,
but there are also other variables like what league you are in, because like a Premier League striker will finish from 20 yards more often than a League 2 player, for example.
So I believe that it is just based on where the shot is taken.
I'm sure there's other attributes at play as well. But yeah, happy to be wrong on that. Don't need to look into it, but
no, yeah, again, but that would be how you determine it. But okay, anyway, we'll wait and see how it goes. Because again, you know, like I say, if there's a skill gap, you know, pros in particular have all, and a lot of kind of, you know, better players are always sort of, you know, complaining about there not being a lack of skill gap. So if there's something that creates a skill gap, happy days. Okay, so shooting's had a bit more focused. Interesting here. So what was it? Where did I saw it? 40% of the power bar. There was, I can't remember. I must have misread it. I thought it was saying that 40, like low shots give a higher probability of going in. But there we go.
No, yeah, but they're kind of reworking the system so you can kind of better aim if you want to shoot low or high, and then they've turned the low driven shots, that mechanic of is it L1 R1 or L2 R2, I can't remember now, but that mechanic is changed to now be the power shot that triggers this little animation, which is quite annoying. But the shooting system is a bit revamped. I think we're going to have to learn that from the beginning, and it's a little bit strange because the low driven shot got brought back in one of the last updates, which made it really overpowered. But maybe they just wanted us to train the new power shot animation, so we'll have to see.
Possibly. I like this. I find this interesting. Outside of the foot shots can now be requested. So I don't know.
I'm wondering if they'll still do them naturally, because at the moment it's based on the player's decision, is it? Depending on what shot you kind of load, they will do the outside of foot shot if they have the trait. I imagine a player would still have to have the trait, or maybe you can do it with anyone now. Does it actually say that?
Well, again, it says shared with the flare shots. The addition of the outside of the foot shots increases the likelihood of a special animation happening, especially if high power is requested. Priority of the outside of the foot shot increases for players with the outside of the foot trait.
Okay.
So essentially, you can request it, but you, again, I love the way it says you can request that they take an outside of the foot shot.
But your player may still prioritize it by himself.
Yeah.
Depends on how many hypermotion animations he has to do first.
Right. I'm gonna start. You're gonna have a hypermotion jar this year. You'd have to put a quid in every time.
I'm giving next gen a chance. I'm giving it the full chance from the beginning, but I can't say I'm sticking around if it's as bad as this year.
You can't say you're giving it a chance when the first sign of trouble you're jumping back to old gen. Anyway, composed ball striking again, passing. There's again they're doing an extended cross zone, which is interesting because I mean I'm not gonna lie. It says this is inspired by world class players like Son Heung-min, who perform dangerous crosses to their teammates from this area. That is the KDB cross. It's the half space KDB cross area. Why they've picked out Son there, I don't know, because that is absolutely, KDB outside of the foot, curl into Haaland. Thank you very much. But we all know where my biases lie. Skill moves, new skill moves. Some of them will probably be overpowered. Some of them might not be. I mean, interesting that there's new fake shots that might make it a little bit more easier to, might make it a little bit more dynamic when you're trying to sort of, use it as a skill move as such.
There's an explosive fake shot.
Yeah, that's what I noticed. I mean, so acceleration and sprint speed must be at higher than 85, and it's 4-star. Is not available to be requested in all directions. So it does seem that they're at least engaging their brains, and they're trying not to make it like overpowered in the sense that you can't literally do it 360 degrees.
Yeah, and they've nerfed the cancelling of both the shots and also the skill moves. That's really good. I think I'm really hopeful about that, because that was something I really didn't like. But there's one new skill move that I've seen people do, which is some sort of like heel to heel or some fake heel to heel or something.
Fake.
Yeah, maybe it's that one. But that glitches through players. You can't stop it. So it's. But I think it's not a 5-star skill move.
Okay. Maybe. Well, a heel to ball roll. That could be it, 4-star. So, but again, with all these, it's going to be a case of if there's anything that's really broken, chances are it'll get nerfed in the first patch anyway. It's just what they decide to not nerf after that, which is normally what happens. So the really ridiculous ones do normally get picked up, but then it's the other ones that don't. Attacking positioning, changes to the tactics. Again, we'll kind of, we've got kind of penciled in to have a little look at kind of what tactics we started off with. I think me and Bully are basically planning to run the same tactic this year. So essentially, whatever Bully does, I do, just to see if there's a difference between him as a better player and me as a very casual average player. Better offside awareness. This. Bully, this must be music to your ears.
No, I don't really. Why?
Well, because you were the one that complaining about them always going offside for last year. Because they said they were going to make this better last year, and they still an attacker still consistently ran offside. So maybe they'll get it right. Yeah,
it depends on the context sometimes, though. Because if you've actually triggered a run and they run offside, then that's fair game, I think. It depends. You may have also set your tactics to get in behind, so I don't always have an issue with it. I think, when they just run needlessly offside, it's an issue. I don't feel like it happens that much, though. I don't think I've complained about it.
I mean, I suppose when the original kind of trailer came out for FIFA 23, they did show an attacking move for gameplay where the attacker did blatantly run offside when they didn't need to. So, we'll wait and see. interesting things like contextual let ball run, which I have no idea how that's going to work. Yeah, so again, defending, kinetic goalkeeper versus header battles. That's right. there's your BS there. Driven roll, which I quite like, similar to a driven throw. Goalkeepers can be slower to react. Can slow react as their vision is blocked by players. Now, I mean, I don't know how I feel about this, because on the one hand, I feel like, okay, this is probably gonna make goalkeepers less OP, but at the same time, are you just not going to try and like blitz people around the goalkeeper? Do you know what I mean? Like,
I'd be surprised if you can do it anyway, because surely a defender's leg will stick out like 2 meters and block a shot anyway. So
it's not even going to get that far. I
didn't know you could do driven throws, to be honest. I just learned something new today.
Oh, there you go. Well, yeah. You do driven throws.
Can you genuinely? I've never done one.
I think they have to have a special trait, but
okay. Might try it.
You never know. Partial team press. Send 2 of your places to closely mark the opponent's passing options.
Yeah, and this can really put on the pressure. I think this is going to bring it back to old pressure days, at least for the top level.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think the teammate contain needs to be kind of like, I think it might have been Crazy or someone at the beginning of last year sort of said, yeah, that they've kind of, there's not a bad balance, but the problem is the teammate contain is then not strong enough, so therefore you can't really press as effectively. Do you know what I mean? It didn't quite work. It was close, but it didn't quite work. So that might be an interesting change. Depth tactics, interesting. Defensive awareness, as in not dropping back to ridiculous, keeping a single man running through on side. Who knows? Again, various things. Tackles, hard tackles, back heel tackles. That'd be an interesting one. So yeah, again, various things. Player switching, it's probably not going to work anyway. All the various things. A little bit of a rule. Get 5 subs now.
Yeah, you get 5 subs, but the chemistry system isn't going to be fun to do subs, because they'll get 0 boosts. So people probably won't sub off when they have good players.
Offside advantage has been called.
The cancel offside one is quite interesting. You can cancel a run.
Well, you've always been able to cancel a run.
Are you sure? I don't think
you can.
Cancel and.
But it just hasn't been very good. Like, it's just too slow to cancel.
Oh, yeah, I didn't think you could before.
I think you can call them back, right, with the R1, but I don't think it kind of cancels.
Well, maybe we always used to be able to, because that used to be L2R2 or RTR, or LTR2. You used to be able to just tap them both and it would cancel the run. So again, player movement, more set pieces, blah 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 blah. Physics, which is great. Computer AI. This is So celebration in clouds. I just wanted to mention things about celebrations, just because Banana, you wanted to make a point in relation to celebrations.
Yeah, they had it in their promotional trailer that you can now trigger a horse sound in the stadium when you score. So, as I said, we're really reaching peak next-gen console level now. So, yeah, that was pretty horrible, but we'll see. We got rid of the shushing, so now we're going to have random horse sounds playing when we score. That's going to be good. You can check out their official gameplay trailer if you want to hear it.
I wonder what other animals can be
Yeah,
played. Are there any anymore?
I'm
know?
not sure.
I mean, surely there's got to be a goat one, right? They've got goat statues. That this whole goat culture we've got nowadays with in sport. Surely they've got to be like a goat bleating or whatever. Do you know what I mean?
I'd pick a duck if it was an option. Just every time I score, quack.
As if he quacked as well. Oh God! Look, you never know. Look, the thing is, right, is that I know what you're saying about we got rid of the shushing and everything like that, right? I've not got a problem if it's something that only comes through on your end, like the customization of like the ball, the line color, the net, or whatever it is. Do you know what I mean? If it's only on your end, fine, no problem. Whatever, fill your boots. Do you know what I mean? Have like 19 like sirens going off when you score a goal. I don't care. Like, I don't have to listen to it. But we'll just have to wait and see. Right, so let's get on to the main event. The real thing, the real things that we're interested in. So let's go through the FUT deep dive, and we will try and go. If there goes with a little bit of pace, little lick of pace on here. So, Bully, talk to me about FUT moments.
I must admit, I like the look of this initially, just because it's something that's going to be single player. So you'll have, I believe it's split into stories and chapters, many stories within a chapter, and then essentially you go in, do many tasks like, I don't know, scoring with 10 minutes to go. Might have other objectives. You might have 2 or 3 objectives in each little challenge that you have to tick off, like do a skill move, don't concede a goal, that type of thing. A variety of different difficulty levels. The better difficult, or the higher difficulty level, the better the reward. Believe it's up to 3 stars per story that you can gain, and then you can effectively use these stars within its own like FUT moments gallery and redeem items. So yeah, I guess you're going for it now. So the stories are the individual pieces, aren't they? Where you'll go into like a game for a split moment, and I do quite like the look of it, because squad battles as a single player mode, it's just so boring. It's always the same thing, isn't it? And I think maybe that's why I don't like it, or maybe I just don't like single player FIFA. I'm not quite sure. But at least this changes it up a little bit, and you can just dip in very quickly and do a challenge rather than sitting through like a 20-minute squad battle game that you might have to rub a band for half an hour. Well, not half an hour, but 10 minutes.
I think you're right. I think it keeps it nice and snappy, particularly when you've got sort of like 88th minute score a goal, those kind of things. It's basically a rehash of it was in the last World Cup game, or the last kind of specific, like Euros or Cup game. There was a stories mode, or there was a mode, and I can't remember what they called it, but it was. And it had kind of like your classic, I think it might have been the World Cup, classic like World Cup moments. And then they recreated scenarios from the tournament. So you'd watch something happen in a game, I don't know, with Spain v Germany or whatever. And then, maybe there's a mad comeback. Maybe there's a last second winner. And then, the next day, this challenge would be live, so you could then go on and do it. And I seem to remember be sat around your house, Billy. Might even been like around Christmas, or maybe a New Year's Eve or something like that we had. And I can remember we were desperately trying to do this. It was just like a South Korea objective or something. You had to score like 2 goals, and you started with a free kick, and you just had to score that free kick first.
Yeah, I think I do remember. I think this was FIFA 10 World Cup mode, and it was scenarios that had happened in history. So it was like 66 World Cup or qualifying this World Cup and stuff like that.
Yeah, so they had the classic scenarios, but then they also had scenarios that happened during the tournament itself. And it was a brilliant mode. It was always fresh. It was always great. And like you say, and I like that scenario, those scenario things where you can actually come on and, do you know what I mean? Because it makes it a 5-minute thing. Do you know what I mean? Or okay, fine. Maybe you've only got sort of 5-10 minutes. Maybe let's take a stereotypical example. You might be waiting for the other half to get ready before you go out or something like that. You may have 10-15 minutes. Like, you'd sit there and maybe watch the telly for 10-15 minutes or whatever, look at your phone, look at TikTok, whatever, and then, or again, because of obviously the loading speed of next gen, you can literally quickly get the Xbox on, get this done, have a little look at that, do a couple of objectives, do a couple of this, and as soon as you're ready to go, you can just, okay, cool, well, I'll quit this, hit the off button, off we go, because it doesn't matter. It's a quick, I love the idea of this mode. I just, like you say, I just hope it's going to be kept fresh enough, because even with objectives, when we've had season objectives, the objectives have been so repetitive.
Yeah, I think the most important point is that, unlike squad battles, where if you quit out, you then lose that chance to do that game, but you can quit out as much as you want. You can try as many times as you want to maybe improve to get, you might get 1 star on the first attempt, but you can keep trying to get 3 stars. So yeah, that's quite nice. Very sort of almost Mario themed, isn't it? With like I think it's Mario Bros. You would go through each level and have the 3 stars to get. Almost feels copied from that.
Well, yeah, I suppose you had. We both played a little indie game called Overcooked with our partners, and we both had the same kind of experience where all parties involved desperately wanted to get. When you've got something, you've got 0 to 3 stars. If you pass it at first time and you get 1 star, oh no, you're going to redo it to get all 3. My personal favorite about this is actually the fact that the challenges are live. As you can see, in terms of whatever challenges you're doing, you have a checklist as part of the user interface. I think it's a really simple thing, but I think it can be such a pain when you're currently, if you're doing objectives, be that through obviously objective mode or squad battles or whatever, and you'll think, hang on, what have I done? Did that count? Crosses in particular, or volleys, the amount of times they don't count, and you think you might have done things and you haven't. This is obviously going to show you when it's counted and when it hasn't.
Yeah, there should still. It's nice in challenges, but I would love to see if they've done the same sort of thing. You couldn't do it for objectives, I guess, because you have so many at any one point. But it would be nice to have like a widget that popped up to say 5 out of 10 now, or something like that.
I think, yeah, but so back when, I suppose it's not beyond the realms of possibility, because think back in the early days of pro clubs, right? Before the current sort of the skill point system, right, where you literally had a checklist of things to tick off. You had various, you had one for each area, one for attack, one for shooting, one for physical stats, one for passing, one for tackling, and you could just check off you could tick these things off a checklist, and once you tick something off, you would get like a skill point, or you would, you might get a +1, +5 or whatever in that skill. So, and again, that came up in the game. It would flash up, like you say. It may not flash up every time you ticked a box, but if you completed one, it did flash up on on the pitch view. So it is something that could be done in theory, because they've done it before in pro clubs.
Yep. No. True. Don't know if you've got any thoughts, Banana?
Yeah, I mean, I have some positive and then some negative. I know the community is going to love this, and the casuals are going to love this. The dads who love to pause in squad battles are going to love this, and it's actually fun. My problem is it's not really that new. I mean, we had it in every Konami game since the 90s. Basically, it was called scenario modes, and it was super, super fun. The second thing is, I'm a little bit scared that this is going to be like a really hard FOMO creator. We have objectives, we have rewards, and I think the way people started playing FIFA, or some of us, was like we play our weekend leagues and then we do some objectives and then we don't really touch it because we like some day off. This is kind of a way to get people sucked back in to play every day. To I need to complete this, and a lot of us playing FIFA are completionists, you could say, that want to do everything, get any little swaps token, do any little objective. So this could be a real grind if it's tough and if there's a lot of it. So hopefully they could kind of take squad battles completely out or do something. I know that might be controversial because that's where some people get rewards. I'm just scared that this is going to be like a lot of work and keeping us playing every weekday when we really don't want to play every day. So
yeah, I get where you're coming from. I think you're right. I think that the casual, I think this is ideal for me. I think this sort of game mode, I think what really impacts on it is the risk reward factor. I say risk reward, but again, it's the time reward factor, right? If the rewards in these kind of galleries are worthwhile, I can see myself playing this, doing whatever, and then doing whatever I need to qualify for FUT champs and playing FUT champs, and that's it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because that suits me. I don't want to play rivals. I don't want to play squad battles. I don't even want to particularly play draft these days. Do you know what I mean? Like I love draft as a game mode, but I see it as more of a, you know, if like Bully comes around to mine or a couple of guys come around to mine or whatever, then we play, you know, to go through some drafts because it's fun. You know, it's fun building the team. But realistically, if you build a team and you go out in the first game, you're actually not too bad. I'm not too bothered by that in the draft because I actually really, probably the most important, most enjoyable part of the draft for me is building the team. You know, so.
Yeah, and I mean, as you guys said, you had a lot of fun on the mode you mentioned. I don't think I played that, but as I said, PES had scenario mode, and some of the most fun I've had on football games is playing that with my friend when I moved out of my mom and dad's place a long time ago. So we would try to score with Steven Gerrard from X amount of yards, or okay, Brazil is behind, you have 2 minutes to come back or something like that, and then you'd pass the controller when you couldn't complete it and pass it back and have some fun. So that was kind of cool. So it's definitely going to be a win in the beginning. I just hope they don't make it too much of a grind.
It's a great point you make, to be fair. It does. Yeah, I think this is a you get quite often, quite a lot recently, you know, not just like this, you know, in FIFA 22, 21, 20, you can go back in the last sort of 3 or 4 FIFAs and a lot of people sort of said, well, hang on, you know, when did it stop becoming fun? Do you know what I mean? When did we all just play this because it's the only thing here? You know, when did we stop actually having fun playing this game? And actually, I think this is a really good opportunity to bring some of that fun back. Now, again, it might be, you know, excruciatingly frustrating, but as long as it's kind of, there's a balance to it, I think this is one of the best things I've seen in FUT in a long time. So yeah, Star Gallery, I think, you know, there's, you know, load Mbappe. Obviously there's some packs here. So
one thing that's described here is you may come across scenarios where you need a certain player, and then that player would be like a 1 game loan. So that's where you would pick them up and be able to use them.
I see. You've also 0 stars there, haven't you? Yeah. So from time to time, we'll offer these players loads of 0 stars, so it's not going to cost you anything to do that. So, yeah, no, that again, it's great. And again, and updating FUT moments regularly throughout the year, new stories and challenges. Again, I wonder if, you know, new stories and challenges. I wonder if this is going to be a move towards involving the World Cup in this.
Possibly. I'd like to see it just involve the last weekend of games, or be really dynamic. If they could, even if something happens on a Tuesday or Wednesday night in the Champions League, and they're able to literally recreate it that next day, 6 p.m. are able to redo Haaland scoring 3 goals or something like that.
Score a hat trick in 2 consecutive games. I don't even know how you be able to. You probably would be able to do it, but
I'm sure there are ones like score a hat trick in 26 minutes or whatever he did.
Yeah, absolute beast, absolute. Do you know what? I really hope he's a monster this year. I hope that.
I think he is already, isn't he?
Well, he is a monster, but he's not in FIFA, is he?
Oh, true. Yeah, I think it will always be a bus in FIFA. They would need to change something quite drastic to bring that balance back to like bigger players. I don't even know where they would start with that one. I think in arcade games, I know they try and make it a simulation the best they can, but I think at its heart it's still going to be an arcade game. I just don't know how you make these sort of big, strong, heavy guys good in FIFA.
To quote Anthony Joshua, I'm not 14 stone, I'm 18 stone, I'm heavy.
Like it's not as long as I've played FIFA, these players have never been in the meta. So this is what, 30 years nearly. Well, maybe they were meta in Sega a little bit. It didn't matter, did they?
But the stats weren't the stats in the Sega. The stats didn't matter one bit in the Sega. Like they were there. Yeah. Of course they were, but they didn't really matter. Like shooting and shooting accuracy, that was it. Like, but yeah. So, okay, right. We've talked about gameplay. We've talked about FUT moments. We cannot avoid the elephant in the room anymore. A couple of years ago, we had a kind of a spare non-promo week, and we decided we would have a little chat around chemistry, because we thought, you know what, there may be some people that still don't fully, they've never quite, sat down and really fully understood what happens in relation to chemistry and what happens with negative chemistry, etc., etc. We named that podcast the chemistry lesson. I now feel that we are in a state where, like, I don't know. When first I read about this new chemistry system, I genuinely feel I was going to need some form of chemistry degree to understand it. I think it's actually more simpler than I thought, but there has obviously been a lot of backlash, and there has already been a kind of a fallback on this. I don't want to necessarily chart the, I want to focus on what we are actually going to get, as opposed, I'm not, yes, I find they've kind of changed it again slightly, but Banana, I think you're well placed to explain this. So tell us, what is chemistry has had the biggest overhaul I think it ever has done in FUT. So tell us about it. What's happening? What's the changes?
We're gonna get cancelled now, but no.
Okay.
No. I'll keep it positive. I'll talk about the changes first, and then my thoughts later after. But I mean, there has been some changes, as you say. They made it slightly easier. At first, I mean, the whole idea is they're going to remove the chemistry lines, so a player doesn't have like this team chemistry where he links to another player in either a strong link or a hyperlink or something. Now it's defined more on the whole team chemistry, and you get from between 1 and 3 stars, which is like the low to the max chemistry. And it's depending on, for instance, how many clubs there are in a team, how many nations there's in a team, how many leagues there's in a team. So you can get either 1 or 2 or 3 chemistry points based on that. And from the pitch note that you're reading now, they made an addition where they've made it a little bit easier. So that's basically how it's going to work, which sounds good, but in theory, when you dig deeper, I think it's going to be much more difficult to build a nice hybrid where you get full chemistry. And linking to this chemistry system which came in the update, is how they boost from chemistry styles. And there's such a big difference there. So everybody's going to want to play 100 chemistry, or which is now the 33 chemistry, to get the full boost from a chemistry style. So I think the whole idea of making chemistry easier has made it much harder, and I don't even think they're realizing it yet. There's been some talks about it. There's been some changes after some of the big profile names have been talking about it. But if it stays like this, it's going to be a bit of a mess, I think. Because who plays players on zero chemistry today, or no chem styles today? Nobody does. So it might be easier to stick in a guy like, let's say, Davies or something, to get them on full chem in a hybrid. But in general, it's going to be the same, like 3 or 4 teams you're going to see over and over and over again to get the amount of clubs, nations, and leagues right to everybody get 3 stars. So I think their thoughts are good. It needed kind of a revamp, but I think they messed it up. And it's, yeah, as you said, you almost need a PhD to understand the new system. Yeah.
So I think, realistically, I think, yeah, thank you for that, Banana. I think what we really need to sort of think about here is kind of, and I understand what you're saying. I think the theory is going to mean you can have far more variety in your teams. But the problem is that whereas before you could have your little pocket, so you could have a little triangle between your centre mid, centre back, and left back, and then you can have the same on the other side, and then you might have those two kind of linking in with the goal, like 2 centre backs then linking in with the goalkeeper, and then, do you know what I mean? You could create these little triangles around the pitch, which then help you really kind of have a nice, good flowing chemistry side, where I think you could quite easily have 100 chemistry through normally by having French players, but not like and have about sort of 4 or 5 leagues in your team, which is great. Do you know what I mean? And that does create a lot of variety. But what is, so if we're talking about like having the single threshold, and it's based on sort of your league, your team, and like your nationality as it was previously. So what are the kind of thresholds to get our sort of 2 and 3 boosts?
Okay, so when might be a bit long-winded, but
there's no way of making this simple, mate. Like,
yeah, so when I first read this, and I will reference the new thresholds rather than the ones
I'll try and get the new. While you talk, I'll try and get the new fresh one up actually.
Yeah, so I must admit I got really confused because I saw the chart to saying, well, the new one says you need 7 players from the same club in order to get free chemistry. You need 8 for the same nation or 8 for the same league, and I only thought it was possible to get free chemistry if you hit 3 thresholds for the same category, but it's not that at all. And maybe that's where it's gonna get a little bit complicated for some users, but actually it makes it a whole lot easier to build chemistry. And I think once people get their head around it, it's actually quite an easy concept to understand. But all you really need, so to get free chemistry from one player, for example, you can hit the first threshold across all of those categories. So if I hit the first threshold on club, the first threshold on nation, and the first threshold on league, that's my free chemistry. So I think an example that's going around on Twitter quite a lot is that all you really need is 3 players, because of the first threshold for the league is 3 players. And so yeah, you have got them up there, haven't you?
Yeah, I've just managed to put it up. So yeah, so what you're talking about here is this first line here in terms of, so your first chemistry. So you'll get 1 chemistry point for 2 players in the same club, 2 players in the same nationality, and 3 players in the same league. So in theory, 2 French players. So again, it uses the example of Mbappe and Kimpembe from PSG. So because they're both from PSG, they're both French, then they've got 2 points. You would then only need 1 further player from Ligue 1 to then get your 3rd point. Correct?
No, but only for them. So if
only for them. So then Mbappe and Kimpembe would then have 2. Three chemistry. I'm gonna try and explain this by your brief explanation. would then have your 3 points. Then let's say you brought in no, Verratti's not bad. Who's a non-French player in the come on, Banana, you've got to be good at this. A non-French player in the
Gelson Martins. So bring Gelson Martins.
Gelson Martins. So
Gelson Martins will have only 1 point on chemistry, because he'll still have the 3 for the Liga 1, but he won't have the chemistry for the French, and he won't have the chemistry for the PSG. So that's when you will need to, I don't know, but let's say, who's another example? Who's a French? So let's say you bring Ben Yedder in from Monaco. Ben Yedder will have the Liga 1 chemistry, and he'll have the French chemistry, because you've already hit that 2. So Ben Yedder would be on 2 chemistry, but he wouldn't have the club, because you've only got 1 Monaco player in there. Gelson Martins is Monaco as well, right?
Yeah, so Gelson Martins. So you could.
But if you had him already, then he would be on 2, and then Martins would be on 2 as well. So actually, Yedder would go up to 3 with Gelson Martins, and Martins would still be on 2, because you've got the 2 Monaco players as well, and that's how it builds up.
So in those 5 players, with that in that those 5 players, you then have.
You've only got 4 there.
Oh, sorry, those 4 players. You've then got 3 of them on 3 chemistry and 1 of them on 2.
Yep.
So again, so again, the thing is so there are obviously kind of sort of what you would say kind of fast tracks. So again, with your 2 chemistry and your 3 chemistry, again, if you have 8 players from the same league, you'll then immediately have your 8 players that are in. So then you then immediately got 8 players on 3. You've then got these other positions to then ensure that you, again, as we say, with those 4 players, or even 3 players, you can get do you know what I mean? So you could have 3 players, 8 players in from 1 league, all on 3, but then 3 players in an entirely different league. Do you know what I mean? And so long as the nations match up, you could then get your 3 chemistry on there. So it does, the changes that they've made, or the clarification at least that they've made, does make it, like you say, a little bit more inclined to that squad building and having those kind of little pockets, as we said previously. But the benefit, I suppose, is then you don't need to have them as a pocket, because they just have to be in the team.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and which is essentially what they were looking for anyway, right?
Yeah, but the problem becomes now that you're gonna basically have, like, when people get coins on Manchester City PSG hybrid. But the problem is also now, without jumping too far, positioning plays in as well. So if a player is out of position, he gets 0 chemistry. So you can't play a CM as a CDM, for instance. They don't have that alternate position right now. So it's going to be exactly the same teams and exactly the same formations we're going to see unless they revamp it. There's not much choice.
But is that just not the same every year, though?
No, because right now you can switch it up a lot by building hybrids, by having, it's a always used example, but like having Mbappe on CDM for chemistry and linking him in a corner, and having like switching up other squads and putting in players. You can't do that anymore. They have to play their fixed position or their alternate position. So there's no more, switching around, building crazy hybrids or,
Yeah, but I must admit, I'm not quite with you on that, Banana. I just think, because we're allowed to disagree every now and then.
Yeah.
I think that I get what you're saying, but I think, and the fixed positions and the kind of secondary positions, but I suppose we should jump into now, really. I don't know. I think the fact is, I think the main driver of seeing the same teams is the players that are then overpowered. And then that's the starting point. Like someone like, Ferland Mendy, say, for example, the last 3 years, he's been one of the top left backs to have particularly early game. It just so happens that he's actually really easy to link in with a lot of other players. So because he's French. So do you know what I mean? It's sort of like the squad building capability and the chemistry, like, of working with the players. I don't think that's what really pushes the kind of the same players coming up. It's those players that are then overpowered, if you see what I mean. I don't know, Bill, I don't know where you stand on this.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to think of an example. 'Cause I think I think it's just as flexible, because I'm trying to think, like Alex Telles a couple of years back when he played for Porto was a good example of someone in an unpopular league, and the only way to actually get him into the squad would be to wrap him around Brazilian players, and you'll get those situations coming up quite a lot. But I guess you wouldn't be able to have Telles in on his own as a Brazilian unless you had 8 Brazilians in the squad. So maybe it is harder to get someone like that in now, but put in one more Benfica player, and then one more Benfica player, 5 Brazilians, he's on free cam. Another one from Liga NOS, and it will help all of them be on free cam. So I still think you can. Yeah, I don't know if is it harder or easier. I'm wondering if we can even get a bit more maybe, especially if you find a sort of trio from the same club in an unpopular league, you can fit them in, and if they're in contrasting positions, so one might be a right back, one might be a left wing, one might be the goalkeeper, for example. Now you can fit those into your squad, whereas before it was impossible.
Yeah, I think I get what you're saying, Banana, in terms of like those central players and moving, particularly from strikers into CDMs, because that was quite nice and easy to do. But then obviously now the kind of the wide men and the goalkeeper become a lot more workable with. Do you see what I mean? I don't know. It's going to be it's going to be really interesting to see how it works, and I think whether it ends up being for better or for worse, I think like you say, I think they did need to make some form of change, and we'll obviously have to wait and see just how it goes.
Just like final thought.
Of course, yes, mate, absolutely.
One of the things I also need to see how it plays out, and I'm not really liking, is also how it affects like icons and heroes. Like icons become a bit obsolete now. They don't really add much. Heroes become a little bit more interesting actually, because they add both for club and for nation. So the icons are really redundant now. Before you can box like a left wing in between some icons. Now you can't even do that anymore. So icons even useful anymore unless they give them a big boost. And then as a last thing, just like if you scroll down a little bit, we don't need to go into all the details, but there they actually put the chem boosts in these big Excel sheets.
Oh yes, of course. So on the update. Yeah. So the chem boost on here.
Those ones. It shows for 1 star, for 2 star, and for 3 star how much the boosts are. And if you take an example like a Shadow or a Hunter, if you have 1 star, it gives like 2 plus 2. If you are 2 star, it gives plus 4, and if you have 3 star, it gives plus 8. So in pace, for instance. So everybody's gonna want to have the maximum plus in pace. So we're gonna need to have 33 star squads. And I agree that chemistry is easy to get, like mid-level chemistry, but getting 33 is not easy. So everybody's going to want the big boost, and I think that's the thing that they haven't really thought into this. That, I mean, how many people do you see now playing with less than 100 chemistry? And not really much. But we'll see how it plays out. I mean, something needed to be done. I just think they took it too far with the complexity when they actually wanted to remove complexity. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I think the way it's like I say, we've probably tried to be as clear as possible and have kind of worked examples, and it's still taken us probably about 15 minutes to really try and explain that. So okay, cool. So we mentioned it about the preferred position. So say for example, they've given Mbappe's example here. Obviously his preferred position is striker, but then he can also play at left wing or centre forward. So you need a position modifier, but that means you can change him. And so yeah, you can change. You'd need a position modifier to change him to these positions, but they're the only positions that you can change him to. So yeah, it's going to make a really interesting market, I think, on position cards again. So again, you've also got options, obviously, that the change positions. You can also go opposite, so you can switch like João Cancelo from a right back to a left back, and things like that. So that's obviously quite good. I think we've asked for people to be able to change, to change wings and things like that for some time, which is all good. And I think and now again, preview swaps. So essentially you can preview what swaps might, what the swaps might mean in terms of chemistry and squad and things like that. Which I'm not sure how fresh that is, if I'm being honest, but I suppose it's just waiting to see how it goes. Oh, I see. Oh, yeah. So red threshold. So it'll yeah, much like the before. Obviously, when you could switch to the chemistry thing, and it would tell you how much you would lose. That player would lose. Again, it will show you. You can preview, and it will show how many you lost. So you have the loyalty has now been removed, but your players do get special first owner icon if you are the first owner. So I know people like a lot of first owner teams, etc. So yeah, there's a little special icon for you guys. Well done. Again, Banana, you just mentioned about the chemistry boosts. Again, obviously, there does seem to be a lot more of a benefit from the 3 than it goes kind of doubles exponentially by the sounds of things, particularly with those things. Now, icons. So I suppose the thing with icons is that they will always have that's the thing, isn't it? They will always have full chemistry. So regardless of the rest of the squad. So I suppose I know you say it kind of makes them redundant, but I suppose if you've got when we were thinking about those sort of scenarios where you may have, again, 7 players from the same club, 7 from the same club, I suppose, but do you know what I mean? You've got 8 players from the same region, and you've got 4 left over. If all 4 of those are icons, then you're on that 33 chem. So I don't think it certainly doesn't make them as useful in terms of squad building as such, but I think it kind of, I don't know, I think it's good if you've got that kind of that one, you've got 10 players and you've kind of got 33 chem out of all of them, and obviously you may not then have, with that spare position, you may not then be able to put in anybody else that would then be on 3. But if you stick in an icon, okay, fine, you're on full chem. I don't know. I don't know whether that seems worth it on you. Obviously, Banana sort of, like I say, made his opinions known in terms of not thinking they're as powerful. What are your thoughts on icons and how they fit into squad building?
No, yeah, I agree with you. I think there will be certain situations where you'll need that icon to get another player to free chem. So when you're in the situation, you might have 3 other French players and they all might be on 2 chem. You might only have 1 slot left, and a French icon then pushes them all up to 3 chem. So yeah, I think they will still play a part. Maybe they're not as powerful as they were, in this system with linking to individual players. Like, a French icon creates a perfect link to any French player, so that's brilliant. And I feel that's a lot more powerful. So they won't be as powerful next year, but they'll still have a part to play
if they're usable.
Yeah. The 10 usable icons will have a part to play.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking when Banana was saying that he doesn't see if there's much point to them now. So there's not much point at all, but about 10 of them anyway. So
it'll be perfect for my end game icon team at some point, but until then, it's also because they have to be in their preferred position, so you can't move them around. Otherwise, they'll have 0 chemistry. But yeah, we'll see.
We'll wait and see. Heroes again. So heroes are back. They'll always have their full chemistry when they're played in their preferred position, regardless of the rest of the squad. So that's kind of what you were saying in terms of bananas. Actually, that comes. Again, all you got to do is stick a hero in their preferred position. I like the fact they're adding Yaya Toure. Park Ji-sung, I love the fact that they've managed to get him back in the game, particularly as a hero. Obviously, Sir Alex Ferguson famously said it was the hardest decision of his managerial career to keep him out of the was it 2008 Champions League final? I can't remember one of the Champions League finals. What hardest decision he ever had to make. So I think he's really, I love Park Ji-sung just because of how hard he worked, and he's one of those really. So they're really glad to see him back in the game.
That's actually quite an. Do you know how they work from a club perspective, or do they just do any club? I can't.
It's League and Nation.
League and Nation. So heroes count. So they'll count as 2 increments towards their league chemistry threshold, and count 1 increment towards their country/region. Okay,
I guess would they be their own club, like the Heroes Club, like Icons are? I guess they would be. Or maybe they're not, because they'd just be on free.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So say Ji-sung Park will be obviously Premier League. So that'll count towards 2 increments.
Yeah, I feel like, because let's be honest, Son is one of the best, probably top 5 Premier League players, or was last year.
Yeah.
And he's always actually been quite difficult to link unless you wrap him in Premier League players. Whereas now you could, because of the country link, that hits the first threshold, and then the +2 on the league, that hits the first league threshold. So just with those 2 players, they're at least on 2 chem. It's just that club. Another 2 Prem players, and then Son's on full chem.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting point. I think, also with Yaya Toure coming in, it gives it's a beautiful link of Drogba and Toure.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if is it any better to link now, but I guess you would need 3 Prem players before you still need 3 Prem players. So yeah, you're not really gaining much.
No, maybe not. But it's interesting. It's interesting at least that if you, again, it's that whole thing is if you have that singular hero, do you know what I mean? It's so long as you put him in the right position, it's okay. Do you see what I mean? It's not going to.
One downfall. You have to look at that stupid Marvel collaboration in your team. I hate those cards. The card design of the Marvel heroes, but
yeah, well, not all of them are going to be Marvel. I mean, those guys that we talked about are going to be Marvel, but that's, not all of them, I hope.
I think they're all, but I don't know.
Again, squad build challenges. So again, chemistry of all players combined up to. So again, obviously, it's going to be different in terms of the puzzle building. So that's going to make it a little bit more difficult. Again, that a lot of people quite enjoy the challenging of the puzzles of the SBCs.
This is the money maker right there. When people need to scramble to how to build these new SBCs, and EA fuck up and demand you have a Korean player or a player from Inter or something in it, and you have to scramble to get 33 chemistry, and everybody will be extinct, and also the positioning cards will be extinct. That's going to make so much money, but we'll get into that.
More on that next week. So again,
is Manolis gone now though? Sorry, one more point. Yeah, Manolis is gone, isn't he? 83 Olympiacos player, but
yeah, so it's
so hard to get him on one chem.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think of course the big leagues, big clubs, good nations are going to be the best, but when they come up with some sort of stupid demand for a very rare player or very rare league or very rare nation, it's going to go wild. But let's see.
Yeah. Get on that boat. Get on that banana boat. So yeah, again, live friendlies. Nah. So again,
you can now do friendlies co-op. Could you before? Can't remember.
I think you could. Oh, maybe you couldn't actually. I don't know. I can't. I don't know. I know. Yeah, I think you could. Yeah, because we did objectives, didn't we?
I don't know. I can't. I didn't think we could, but maybe we could.
Yeah. Again, okay. Crossplay. Again, crossplay is all available on 1v1. Not available in co-op 2v2 co-op modes. So that's interesting because, of course, what we don't have on this. And we're not going to go through FUT Stadium for the same reasons that Banana mentioned about noises when you score goals. The one thing that we haven't actually got here is the announcement that the announcement that we will have co-op available on FUT Champs this year, which obviously I mentioned briefly. So that's going to make things very interesting in terms of the cross-play. It's not going to be available in 2v2 co-op modes, so it's going to be interesting to see how that works in relation to Champs, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, well, we're both Xbox, aren't we? So it's probably going to take...
we're both Xbox, which is fine. But again, in terms of whether that then takes down the player pool, what makes it...
Yeah, it will. Yeah. It's probably going to take us about 10 minutes to find each game.
Might be, but then I suppose people can still enter. I think in theory people would still be able to end. I don't know whether it's a case of it's an option, so you can partially play FUT Champs co-op. You can partially play it by yourself.
No, I think it's well, the rumours are that it's its own ecosystem. This is what I was moaning about last year when they merged 2v2 with, or like from a pro point of view, you had to play on the 1v1 rivals ladder, but it was possible to qualify for pro tournaments without playing a 1v1 game if you just had a good partner and just play 2v2s all the time. But now you are, again, this is rumours leaks, so I don't really know for sure, but you should be on your own individual ladders now as a pairing.
Interesting. So yeah, because I've only seen the very brief sort of rumors that you have, to be honest, but they are from relatively reputable leaking sources.
It might not be true, but that's
No, I mean, people was co-op boosting. They were even boosting up their coaches to kind of try to fuck up other people, and so that's known in the pro scene and dodging games and stuff. Rivals was a mess.
Don't talk to Billy about starting boosting
yeah
boosting ranking points.
But like looking into Weekend League, because I haven't really seen the kind of final of this. Is it going to be separate 2v2 champs, or is it going to be versus the one?
Yeah, that's what it's going to be. The rumor is they're essentially going to be a 2v2 ecosystem of champs.
Okay.
So those that want to play 2v2 champs will have a option to play 2v2 champs. As my voice is starting to go, and those.
So we're back to 40 games if you want to play the max, but.
Well, again, I don't know. I mean, like I say, it's very much rumored. I mean, it's one of those things that I really hope is actually true. So again, particularly from a solely selfish point of view, in terms of me and Billy have played co-op on pretty much every available co-op game there's been, not just within FIFA, just in general in gaming. If there's a co-op game, me and Billy have likely played it. Whether that's Gears of War, right back in the PlayStation 1 days of LAPD Future Cop. Which is a great co-op game, like a proper split screen side by side thing. Do you know what I mean? All this sort of stuff, it's kind of things that we've loved doing as we've grown up. So yeah, having that in FUT Champs would be fantastic. And and as excited I am for FUT moments, that'll top it.
Yeah, because week in, week out, or whenever we could play co-op, we would have the challenge. And I honestly can't think of a reason why we couldn't eventually, with enough effort, get into the top ranks.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I can't think of a reason, because I think we are a pretty good 2v2 pair whenever we have played. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I'm a little bit fearful though. Is it going to be, like you say, 40 games a weekend league now, and you get, am I going to have FOMO or playing my 20 games of co-op? Oh no, I better get my weekend league done as well. And it's going to be like, it depends how rewards are going to be as well. Are they going to be, because if they are at the same level as FUT Champs, then literally everyone's going to be playing co-op, because they want double rewards. It's interesting, and people are going to be wanting partners as well. So that might also be an opportunity from our perspective, from a community perspective, where we create a lobby in the Discord with people that can pair up and bring people together that way. So yeah, lots of excitement about 2v2.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I think it's always a thing that we've always said, haven't we? In terms of, because we've played together for so long, it's, you know, the fact that I know where you're going to be. And I mean, we had some really good co-op games, maybe not last year, but the year before when it first came in. I think we had we had a few unbeaten nights. There was normally a lot of draws in there because it gets screwed over. But yeah, you know, really, you know, sort of facing some really sort of top pairings. But of course, it's the fact that you know each other, and that benefit of having, you know, been playing for so long is always a benefit. So yeah, hopefully we'll wait and see. You know, in happy days, if there is plenty of content coming from us. So I suppose that's the deep dives that we've gone through. And I suppose what I mean, before we wrap up, I'd just say that is there anything else that you want to mention to get people on the hype train? I suppose we haven't really got long at the moment. What, we've got 3 weeks, is it?
Yeah. 18 sleeps.
18 sleeps.
No, someone else tweeted that out, so I won't count that.
He's got an advent calendar, everything.
FIFA advent calendar. It's not bad. It's not a bad business venture, to be fair, for next year.
I mean, it's surprised that, I mean, they could do FIFA-mas, can't they? They could literally do new season FUTmas. Every day you have to log in and open an advent calendar door. This is what, right, for those that haven't been around for very long, this is what FUTmas used to be, by the way. You used to log in on the web app during FUTmas for the 12 days of Christmas or whatever, and you would get a reward just for logging in. Like a proper reward, not like 500 coins. You know, it was a proper pack and everything.
If you had a proper advent calendar, what would you give people each day?
What do you mean in terms of like a what?
Like a physical one.
Like a physical one? What, a FIFA related physical one?
Yeah. How do you put disappointment in a box?
Do you know what? You said that. I was literally going to say, do you know what? It would be one of those old school paper ones that's just pictures. There's no chocolate in there. You just open the door. It's just a picture. It's just a picture of a card. It's just the ultimate disappointment. And then on the last day, you get a code for 500 FIFA points. Can't even buy a proper pack with it. It's so funny that you went to disappointment, and that's exactly where my head was at. And I'm sure Banana was in exactly the same boat as well.
I don't know. I'd have thought there'd be far more explicit word than disappointment.
yeah. Bananas. You open up and the picture is just like someone, like a finger, like a middle finger pointing up. You say, yeah, that's what we think of you, mate. Like,
but even with all the hard words today, I'll be very excited once it starts. It's going to be fun to be back on the grind again and build. I think now's a good time to take a small break if people are a little bit burned out. Instead of recycling 85 times 10, don't get your disappointment levels right. You're not going to pack all these guys once the new game hits. You'll be packing 78 rated players. So in 3 weeks' time, we'll be happy to pack like 83 Dembele or something like that. So I'm excited to get back to that. So it's going to be very fun.
There we are. Look, it's only taken an hour and a half, but it's basically, but all of a sudden we're feeling positive again. Look at that. Hey, how about that? No, I think it's good. I think that there are a lot of things to be excited, a lot of new things. I always love it. FIFA has always at its best when they innovate. Do you know what I mean? Whether it's within the gameplay, whether it's in the content, whether it's in the menus, whether it's in the systems, it's always best when there's innovation. That's always, you look at the best FIFAs, the ones that everyone's liked for so long. It's always been the ones that have been innovated, that have been so well. I mean, there's a lot, as we've already said, there's a lot of innovation going on this time around. So fingers crossed. So that's it. We've said hello to FIFA 23. Next week we will be saying hello to the Banana Grove, and we shall be having the deepest dive we've ever done on the podcast into trading. So no pressure there, Banana, but you may have to put some prep into this. And yeah, we're really happy to be able to have you on board to be able to deliver that. So I suppose we should do the time-honoured tradition. Bully, where can we find you?
So you can find me at Chrissy Ballard across socials.
And Banana, where, as if we need to ask, where can we find you?
Yeah, DaSweatyBanana on Twitter and maybe a little bit on Twitch once FIFA gets started again.
And you can find me at Average FIFA Dad across socials. The podcast is at FUT_casual on Twitter. The YouTube is the Casual FUT podcast, and the links will be on socials. The Discord link will be around on socials as well. I'll make sure that the pinned tweet has both links in. Again, come and join the Discord. There's sort of, I don't know, 130, 140 people in there at the moment. It's been quite quiet the last 2 or 3 months. But again, as the new game hits, it'll really start to get really a good buzz. And yeah, it's a great community to join. Everyone helps everybody else. If you know, again, particularly with chemistry, if you know, we've got a squad help channel, which obviously is a lot about squad building now, but I'm guessing it's going to become a bit of a clinic about chemistry. Might actually change the name to the chemistry clinic. Because that'll probably be more appropriate going forward. So again, it's, you know, we have fun in there every single year, guys, and we'd love you to come and join. There's no paywall. It's not a Patreon or anything like that. Just come and join us and enjoy yourself. So what I shall say as I end of all, again, if it's your first time listening to us or first time watch, it's everybody's first time watching us. Thank you very much for watching. I hope we haven't broken any screens in the process. Bully's desk is still standing, by the way, for those long-term listeners. Bully's desk is still standing the test of time. So we'll, you know, if ever he replaces it, we will film a sacrimonial burning of it.
If it breaks this year, it could actually be your fault.
That's true. I'll take that. I'll happily be the one that finally did it. I'll happily be the one that finally caused the desk to break. But anyway, as always, guys, whatever you're doing, hopefully you're having a bit of a break. But if you are ripping those 85 times 10s, or still doing objectives, or whatever it is that you're doing, keep it casual, and we'll see you next week.